शं वरुणः शं नो भवतयमा शं नो इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शं नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि हृदं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ मधुमाधारितायते मधुक्षरन्ति सिन्धवः माधेन सन्तोषदेहे मधुनक्तमुदोषसि मधुमत्पार्थिवतुं रजः मधुदौरस्तु न पिता मधुमानो वनस्पति मधुमागुम् अस्तु सूर्यः मार्गेणावो भवन्तु नः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति सुजनपालक दुर्जनतारक संशयनाशक आवो सुजनपालक दुर्जनतारक संशयनाशक आवो जीवगतिदायक गुरुरूपधारक रामकृष्ण प्रभु आवो जीवगतिदायक गुरुरूपधारक रामकृष्ण प्रभु आवो देह की इस देवालय में देह की इस देवालय में आसन अपना लगाओ प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ प्रभु आओ प्रभु राम कृष्ण तुम आओ
कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् ॐ नमो ब्रह्मण्यदेवाय गोत्राणिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो गोविन्दाय नमो Mataji's, namaskars to all of you. So happy to see the gathering of devotees. The Lord is shining in everyone's heart. And today is a blessed Sunday that we are able to discuss the Bhagwatam today. You know, once Sri Ramakrishna had this vision, Bhakt Bhagavad Bhagwan, the devotee, the Bhagwatam and the Lord Bhagwan, all three, there was a light connecting all three. And seeing this, Sri Ramakrishna went into Samadhi. And later on, Sri Ramakrishna would say, these three are one. Bhagavad, Bhakt, Bhagwan. Actually, because it is one bhav. Bhav is the asal thing. It's the real thing. In bhakti sadhana, everything is to do with bhav. Unfortunately, this word bhav has no English equivalent. So if I use the word devotion or emotion, still that is not enough. Bhav means much more. It is the total mental disposition. The total mental disposition tinged with devotion. So when emotion is raised to a great, very high pitch and transformed, it becomes devotion. Bhav has to do with this devotion. And it is the total mind moving towards the Lord. Not just one thought, one vritti, not like that. So this bhav sadhana is something we should understand if we have to dive into Bhagwatam. You see, today's age, we are very rational and logical and thinking beings. But we were never trained in emotional intelligence. Anyone trained in that in your education? No, hardly. That's why we are very poor in emotional intelligence. Many of us, we should admit it. And we are given so much to negative emotions. So how will we understand bhav sadhana? That is why some amount of training is required for bhakti. Some amount of deep inner understanding, training, and repetition. Training means repetition. So that we are conditioned in a particular way towards the Lord, and then bhakti is possible. And what we are going to study today is, how it is described in Vaishnava Shastras. This is not an ordinary book. Nigama kalpataru galitam phalam bhagavatam. Nigam is Ved. Nigama kalpataru. Ved is like a kalpataru, a wish-fulfilling tree. Whatever you want, it will grant you because it is the very essence of knowledge. Isn't it? We have been discussing the Upanishads. They are the essence of all knowledge because they are unraveling your own consciousness. And Nikama Kalpataru Galitam Phalam. Galitam means, see, a ripe fruit is always juicy. Isn't it? Phalam is fruit. Galitam means that which is the juiciest fruit of the Kalpavriksha of the Vedas. When it is ripe, paripakva avastha, the right ripeness, it is full of juice. Bhagavatam is the juice of the Vedas. It is the essence of the Vedas. What is the point in knowing everything about the Vedas? See, I can be a double PhD in the Vedas and the Upanishads, but I never felt devotion to God. What is the point? Asal jinish haage gaya. But if I have devotion, knowledge will automatically come. Knowledge will automatically come. It is given here in the Bhagavad only. If there is devotion, what is the meaning of devotion? Devotion is not a sentimental affair. Very sorry. If you are thinking in terms of sentiments, it's not a mere sentimental affair. It is, I told you, the entire mind transformed and moving towards the Lord. Eka bhakti vishishyate is jnanam, according to Bhagavad Gita. When there is one pointed emotional flow of entire mind towards the Lord, that is what happens through jnana, Bhagavad Gita is saying. And such a person is my highest bhakta, although he is called the jnani. Please see, jnana and bhakti are not two different things. If there is real jnana, there will be bhakti. If there is real bhakti, there will be jnana. ये दो अलग चीजें है ही नहीं. And in Sri Ramakrishna's life, you will get this perfect understanding of bhakti and jnana. I can tell you this. You see, Sri Ramakrishna spent most of his time in Bhav Samadhi. Unless we understand what is Bhav Samadhi, how will we understand him? Again, don't bring sentimental affair with Thakur. To understand, you can love him only when you understand him. And you can understand him, love him, only when we understand his Bhav. His Bhav was Bhagavad Bhav, always in Bhav Samadhi. Bhav Samadhi is when a very, very elevated emotion or bhav is introduced into an awakened consciousness. Deep inner awakening, full consciousness in full bloom, and in that Bhagavad Bhav is introduced, it becomes Bhav Samadhi. The entire mind gets inflamed, charged, and that is Bhav Samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna was perpetually in Bhav Samadhi, and from that vantage point, he has given out the Kathamrit. So these are not ordinary words what Sri Ramakrishna gives us. It is from the state of Bhav Samadhi, union of consciousness with God, and Bhagavad Bhav, completely immersed in that, and he is speaking from that state. So you see, that's why they are the highest truths then. They are the highest truths the human consciousness can ever put forth, give out. These people were not even for talking, but Sri Ramakrishna was the avatar, come to give knowledge. So from that state, he is descending to our level and giving out something. So, and there he says, in the Kathamrit, he says, Bhakti is far, nothing higher than Bhakti. Only thing is, if we have not worked on our emotion, we will not understand the glory of love for God. And today's this age is very, very strange because we know so much about everything. We know almost everything about everything, but we don't feel this love for God. अनेक जन আমাকে এসে বলে कि भक्ति खूब difficult. It is not difficult if you are, that bhav sadhana is there in life. It is very difficult if bhav sadhana is not there and just intellectual understanding is there of everything. Intellect is a very poor instrument for knowledge. Although your education system will tell you it's the highest instrument of knowledge. No. Intellect is affected by a whole lot of things. And primary among them is your bhav. Unless that is worked upon, this intellect will not reveal the highest knowledge. So bhav sadhana is something all of us have to pay attention to. Whether we are karma yogis or bhakti yogis or jnana yogis or raj yogis, whatever type, whatever dominant yoga we may be following, you cannot do without bhakti. Working and cleansing our emotion is primary step in spiritual life. So the Bhagwatam is actually going to teach us this. How to convert our emotion into devotion. So that this, wasting of our emotional life on all sorts of things, this run after all sorts of relationships, this need to connect, this fear of loneliness, all these modern, problems, you will see it in a completely different light. The beauty of our emotion is it can be raised to a pitch where it becomes devotion. Now you don't need anyone to make you happy. Isn't this great? Tell me, a great state to be. You don't require another person to come into your life to make you joyous. You're bubbling with joy by yourself. And you're in a high aware state. God has become real. And devotion to God has become one-pointed. This is bhakti. And it has nothing to do with, it's entirely a psychological transformation. A change of mind, transformation of consciousness, what is called. And each one of us is capable of it. Only we tend to waste our emotional energy on all sorts of silly things. This we should stop. This we should stop. So the Bhagavatam will help us do this. Because this is Bhagavatam. It is the story of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita is the word of the Lord. Not about the Lord, but the word of the Lord. Bhagavatam is about the Lord. The story of the Lord's pastimes. The story of his life, and especially the Dashaskanda of the Bhagavatam, because that is entirely the story of the Lord. Today I am going to dwell only on that much portion. That also is very huge. In that we will take a few snippets, a few very important ideas, and we will discuss those ideas. How does this Bhagavatam begin? So, you know very well the Bhagavatam is being told to Parikshit. Parikshit is Arjun's grandson. And he's the only one in the line who survived the Mahabharata war, as you know. And Parikshit, while still he was in Uttara's womb, Parikshit was the son of Abhimanyu and Uttara. While still he was in his mother's womb, he was attacked. You know that story, isn't it? Ashwatthama, towards the end of the war, when the Kauravas realized that they are not going to win, in fact they are losing the war, and most of their heroes were dead. Then Ashwatthama thought of this very wicked plan. He wanted to put an end to the Pandava line. So he sent out the Brahmastra. Now Drona's son, he knows all that. So he sent it out, and to preserve the Pandava line, Lord Krishna himself entered the womb of Uttara and protected Parikshit. So the starting of Bhagavatam is like this. Parikshit has this vision of Lord Krishna protecting him while still in the womb, because the fetus could see some kind of a barrier around it, and the Lord is standing there and protecting him. So this vision he had while still in his mother's womb. So as soon as, and then he was well protected, the Brahmastra could not penetrate and could not destroy him. And when he was born, he started looking at everyone like this, staring. परीक्षमाणम इति परीक्षितः. He is सभी की परीक्षा कर रहा है. क्या यही वो देवता है जिसको मैंने देखा था पेट में? Who was protecting me? He started seeing everyone, his mother, his whoever had survived on the Pandava side. He started closely seeing. The infant was seeing everyone around him. His father was not there. Now, when this child was seen, that is when the guru of the Pandava line, they decided that his name should be Parikshit because he is searching for God all the time. He is searching to see where is that being who protected me while I was in my mother's womb. So his name became Parikshit. And throughout his life, he showed this devotion to Bhagwan, constantly in touch with the higher consciousness, constantly wanting to know about the Lord. He lived a very righteous, very good life. He continued the Pandava line. He became king. He ruled the kingdom very well. But then came one big disaster in his life, which also you may be knowing. What happened was, you see, this is shown as the fruit of arrogance or ego. In all of us, there is a hidden ego somewhere in the depths of the unconscious. And it so happened that Parikshit one day went for a hunt and he entered an ashram and asked for water. Now the rishi in that ashram was actually sitting in samadhi. So he didn't hear Parikshit at all. Parikshit was very thirsty and he desperately wanted water. So he looked around, there was nothing, and then he saw a dead snake. So what he did was with his bow, because he was so tormented by hunger and thirst, he lifted the snake and put it on the rishi. Now the rishi's son comes out and says, "What? How dare you do this to a man who is in samadhi? Do you know what you have done? I curse you that 7 days from today you will die for this sin." At once Parikshit came to his senses and fell at that Rishiputra's feet and said, "Please remove this curse. I have such a big duty in front of me. I am the king of this place. I was so tormented by thirst, I didn't realize what I was doing. Forgive me." But then the Rishi's son said, "This curse cannot be taken back. You have 7 days to live. But I will make it such that these 7 days will be your liberation. From these 7 days, you will liberate your mind from all these worldly attachments and you will reach a very high state." So then when Parikshit comes home, he is broken down completely and then he turns towards the Lord. What will be the best way to now use my time? I have only 7 days. See, this seriousness comes in our life when we think of death. When there is death in front of us, when there is a terminal illness in front of us, something like this, then we become very serious about life. Where did I spend my time, my energy? We have only these two things in our hands, our time and our energy. Where did I spend it? How did I spend it? So he becomes very serious. And then he tells his courtiers and ministers, everybody he calls, and he tells them, "I give up the kingdom, my sons will now take care of that. I am going into the forest for tapasya, and all I want is to hear the name of the Lord and the Leela of the Lord. This is all I want." So the place where he goes is, you see today it's there near Haridwar, Shuktal. He goes there. And then Shukadev comes there. Shukadev is not an ordinary teacher. He is the Paramahamsa, the Avadhut who lives in God consciousness. He has been like that right from childhood. He is Vyasa's son, who was born pure, born enlightened. So Shukdev comes there and Parikshit pleads with him, "Please tell me the story of the Lord. Tell me about his Leela, his pastimes, so that my mind these 7 days thinks of nothing but the Lord." See, this state of mind. Nothing but the Lord. And nothing else should enter my ears. I should see nothing else. Make it such for these 7 days. Let me completely dip into devotion. And then I know my liberation is ensured. And this being who has protected me even before I was born, tell me about his glories. So then, as Shukdev sits on the Vyas feet and Parikshit sits at his feet, everyone gathers around. Everyone leaves the kingdom, they leave the palace and come here. And all the ministers, the courtiers, the different rishis from various kingdoms, even the animals and plants are all moving towards Shuddha. The plants, they are shown to bend towards where they are sitting, and the animals are all gathering around, and the Ganga becomes still because now they are going to hear the glory of the Lord, the story of the Lord. And Parikshit is impatient, somehow he waits till the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad. Then after that, immediately he says, but tell me about my beloved Lord who has protected me right from the womb. Tell me about Lord Krishna. And then begins the Dashamskand. See, please remember why I say this is not an ordinary book. One to whom this book was expounded was Parikshit. And one who gave out this truth was Shukdev. But who compiled it, kept this record? It was Vyasadeva himself. It is the creation of Vyas. Just like how he put the Vedas together, that's why today we have the Upanishads and all this. He also put the Puranas together. But remember, we have Vyas Parampara. Vyas Parampara means there were many Vyasas in that lineage. All of them were called Vyas, so we don't know which exact Vyas put it together. But generally we say Maharishi Ved Vyas has put everything together. It's a lineage, okay? So now, when Vyas had put together all of the Vedas, Maharshi Vyas put together all our knowledge systems. Out of that, the Shad Darshans came out. But still, he was not happy. He did so much of work, still there is no inner joy. He is peaceful, he is contented, but no inner bliss. Then he appeals to the Lord, to Narada actually, and says, why is it that I don't feel fulfilled yet? Then Narada says, because you haven't sung the glory of the Lord. You have given out the truth about the Lord, but you never gave out His sweetness, His beauty, His pastimes, His name. Only when he compiled the Bhagwatam, that's why it is called Mahapuran, then he got that inner bliss. He felt totally saturated with joy, satiated as it were, with bliss, happiness, and then he declares that is what this is the Nigama Kalpataruka. This is the essence of what I have done in the past. So Bhagavatam is a very, very powerful, profound book. And you should not flip through the Bhagavatam just like that as if it's a story book. No. It is a book with deep meaning. So much of Jnana is there here. All three systems of philosophy are there here. You will find Dvaita, Vishishta Dvaita and Advaita in the Bhagavatam. You will find all the 4 yogas in the Bhagavatam. Isn't this amazing? See, it's a book of devotion, but with having all comprehensive, having all of these. And the highest Advaita Vedanta, the nature of the Lord whom we are worshipping in this way, that also is described here. How He is nothing but existence, consciousness, bliss absolute, who comes in a form, with a name, with, attributes, and with lila, with action in this world, so that our mind, which is bound by action and the senses, will be able to recognize that truth of Sachidananda through the avatar. He comes for us. Avatariti the avatar. For whom? For us. Yes. So that we understand Him, because that's how we are conditioned. So you see, then the Leela of the Lord is expounded in this way. So the story of the Bhagavatam is not just, it's not like you know most of the stories, but the essence of the Bhagavatam lies in the profound truth about the nature of the Lord, which is Satchit and Anand. He is Ananda Swarup. And in that Ananda Swarup, there are 3 Shaktis, which will be mentioned as we go along. And that is what these 3 Shaktis, in that the Ladini Shakti is what produces the bliss of God. Why is it that you see now Meera's face, Surdas, all of them wrapped in God? Rapture. What causes this rapture? Just intellectual understanding is not going to cause rapture. Vritti Jnana is one thing, but this absorption, Samadhi, is another thing. So this rapture is only possible when the entire mind is caught by the object of love. So this is the purpose of Bhagavatam. You see, it's not just knowing about the Lord intellectually. That is very poor knowing. When we only have Vritti Jnana, we don't understand this. Only through sadhana you can understand this, that this knowledge results in raptness. Raptness leads to rapture. So it is tasting the bliss of the Lord. The picture of Thakur, you see, you can imagine the picture of Thakur. He is deeply immersed in God, radiating bliss, tears flowing down the eyes, complete fulfillment within. This is the state we are pointing at. Just Vritti Jnana will not get you this state. This level of absorption has to come. So Bhav Sadhana then becomes very, very important. So this is the introduction to the Bhagwatam. We are not going to discuss the whole life. See, you know the incidents. That's why I'm not going to go into that. You know the birth of Krishna. You know how he grew up, the different leelas. He killed so many asuras. How he was dear to Yashoda. How he was so dear to his playmates. You know all of that. But the psychological essence of each chapter, that is what we will discuss, because it will help us apply these principles in our own lives. So that we can manufacture bhakti within ourselves. Now, in the Bhagavatam, the definition of bhakti is like this. You know, bhakti comes from the dhatu bhaj, which means to worship, to serve, to honor, to love, to adore. Bhaj, dhatu. The beauty of service, seva, is if you keep doing it, you will love the one served. That is why I say bhakti and seva go together. Can there be bhakti without seva? Tell me. Suppose I don't do anything for the object of my love. Do you think I can maintain love? See, this is the first law of relationships. If you want to build a relationship, learning to give as much as possible. Learning to give. That laws of relationships which we had discussed at IIT is going around in so many channels. The point is this, there are certain fundamental laws of love. Unless we practice them, you cannot build love. Love is not a whimsical thought, or it's not a mere emotion. It is much, much more. It is investiture of vital energy into something. For that, work is required, sadhana is required, dedication is required. So, service is the first step of love. If there is seva, there will be bhakti. Then he says, how do we develop bhakti to the Lord? See, to human beings, well, association will bring increased love, bring more and more love. Now, how do we associate with the Lord? That is by dwelling repeatedly on the Lord, on His form, His actions, His pastimes, on His bhav, on His attributes. This is important. That is why then sadhana is important. Japa, dhyan. By doing all this, the mind dwells. Repetition is sadhana. Repetition is training. You know, in the creation of habits, the first thing, the psychology of habit is, the first thing they will tell you is when you repeat something, it becomes a habit. Now your mind gets used to it, it will automatically keep doing it. Sadhana is nothing but this, creating a habit of turning within, of taking the name of the Lord. And once this conditioning happens, now the name of the Lord thrills you. It brings a kind of different feeling within you altogether. But this conditioning has to be done. It can be done only through sadhana. See, let us not be foolish enough to know everything about bhakti but not do the sadhana. Okay? This is again not about mere knowledge. We take the knowledge from here, then we go into practice. So the priority of our life should be sadhana, bhakti. If bhakti is there, everything else will arrange itself around that. So the life of a devotee, bhakti is prioritized. This is how it is defined. The second thing which we should know about bhakti, you see the definition I will give you here. The Bhagavatam gives its own definition of bhakti. When all the energies of the senses, including the organs of knowledge and action, jnanendriyas and karmendriyas, which are usually engaged in knowing external objects and in works sacred and secular, become concentrated as a unified mental mode directed to the Supreme Being, spontaneous like an instinct and devoid of any extraneous motives, any selfish motive. The resulting state of mind is called bhakti. You see, these very jnanendriyas and karmendriyas, if I can use them in such a way, they dwell on the Lord. Any action I am performing, it is for Him. It is going to be offered to Him. Anything I am seeing, hearing, it is to do with Him. Automatically these get purified. And it will result in bhakti. So you see, in the bhakti marg, you are not controlling senses and actions. You are more Deva. You are changing that direction. Instead of going after external things, you are going after the Lord through the same equipment. This is the way of bhakti. Our very senses get purified if they concentrate on the Lord. Have you seen this? The luminosity of our senses comes about only if they are concentrated on the Lord. Otherwise, if you concentrate on trash, they will become trashy. Yes. So, as we go on culturing this, automatically bhakti bhav will arise in the heart. This is the most precious thing for the bhakta. So, our jnanendriyas and karmendriyas, if they can be turned towards the Lord, bhakti will be generated. Then the Bhagavatam says this bhakti is superior even to mukti. It is superior to jnana. There's a beautiful Bengali song, Ami Mukti Dite Katar Noi, Ami Bhakti Dite Katar, which means the Lord is saying, I can easily give mukti, but I don't easily give bhakti. Because the bhakta ties me up in his hands, I will be in his hands. So the nature of love is like that. It is the road to tie the Lord. Thakur used to define prema, Bhagavad prema like that. So then he says, like fire, it burns up the soul's sheath of ignorance. This is real jnana. Jnana is the removal of ignorance. It comes through bhakti. So I told you, remember the definition of bhav samadhi according to the Bhagavatam, according to all bhakti shastras. When you introduce Bhagavad bhav in all its fullness into an awakened consciousness, the resultant will be bhav samadhi. If the consciousness is not awakened at all, and you are just thinking of some bhav, that is sentimentalism. That will not get us much. So this kind of emotional outpouring is not required. If real bhakti is there, whole soul devotion will be there. And this is the only way of bhakti. It is not a sentimental effervescence. It is an absorption in the nature of the Lord. So this should come about in our lives. Then there are several definitions of bhakti given in the Bhagavatam. One important definition, many of the definitions you know because we have discussed it here and in Bangalore also. Repeatedly we have discussed it. But one special definition is, which you may not know, is, see, anyhow you fix your senses and mind on the Lord, bhakti will be generated. And the Bhagavatam says, even if it is vidvesha bhav, which means even if you are thinking of the Lord with some feeling of, that comes up, he did not like Krishna, he wants to actually kill Krishna, but he is concentrating on the Lord. So somewhere his mind is getting purified. And ultimately, his soul merges at the feet of the Lord. So anyhow you concentrate on the Lord, in any how you concentrate, your senses and mind should be exposed to the Lord. That is the way to bring sattva into this system, into this home, and into your physical homes also. Do you keep a Thakur ghar at home? At home. If there is no worship room at home, your mind will be in jitters all the time. Keep jumping from one thing to the other. Please know this. The purpose of this Thakur ghar is not to start some ritual at home. The purpose is to center your mind on the one. It starts from there. It starts from there. Oh, I meditate, but I don't do any of this. No, your senses also require meditation. So if by His great grace we fall in love with the form of the Lord, nothing more is required. Other forms will not attract you. If you fall in love with the name of the Lord, other things will not attract you. That will become the priority. You may still go home today after Bhagavatam, you will go home and see the World Cup, I know. That is no problem. But what I am saying is, the priority of a devotee's life is the devotion to the Lord. Nothing means more than this. This is what I am saying. And things which, jeopardize our emotions, taint our inner life, that you will automatically keep away from. There are many such things in life, isn't it? Automatically you will keep them at a distance. So, in Antare, bhav ka protect karte hain. This is to be protected. Then only Bhagavad Dharma is possible. In Bhakta's life, this becomes very important. So see how much you are doing. Then the Bhagavatam also says, you see, the worm imprisoned in a cavity and guarded by a beetle lives in constant dread of it, and through such identification brought by fear gets transformed into the form of the beetle just by constantly thinking of it. So where I apply my mind, that stamp I will get that bhav. ठाकुर এটা বলতেন না, ঠাকুর কি বলতেন, the exact lines, মন ধোপা কাপড়ের মতন. In what you will put it, it will catch that color. It is like a piece of white linen. What you dip it into, it will catch that color. So day and night, where are we going to apply our mind? Application of mind is tapasya. Please note. Tapasya is not running away to Pangot and sitting somewhere. Application of mind intensely on these things is tapasya, wherever you may be. But the point is, this application of mind should be there, the steady application, not flitting from one thing to the other. Today, your greatest distraction is what? Mobile. Take care, don't waste. I told you we have only two things in hand: time, energy. How I utilize this? So more and more of this constantly applying mind, and the transformation will happen automatically. That is what he says. Application of mind. So whenever we have questions like, many come, same question, Mataji, why I am not progressing? Why I can't meditate? I can't sit. Mind does not sit. Simple thing, you didn't expose yourself enough to all this stuff. Rather, other exposures were more. This is a simple truth of our lives, That's why I said knowing alone is not enough. Your heart must be in it. And application must be there. Then automatically the resultant will be different. Then the Bhagavatam gives very important such key ideas. The glory of the Bhagavatam is the integration of Jnana into it, just like in the Bhagavad Gita. You remember in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukriti lojana arto jignasu arthati jnani cha bharadashava. Which means there are 4 classes of people who are devoted to me, Lord Krishna is saying. Who are they? Arto. Arti means one afflicted, who is in search of somehow ending his misery. The suffering one. Jignasu, the curious one. Arthati, one who is searching for meaning, higher meaning in life. And Jnani, the one who has this absorption in the Lord, who has deep inquiry into the knowledge of the self. And then the next verse says, Tesham, the Jnani is my foremost devotee, because his application of mind is so perfect, because Eka Bhakti Vishishyate. With one pointed devotion, he becomes a Jnani. So you see, devotion is an integral part of Jnana. You cannot separate the two. If there is Jnana, there will be devotion. If there is devotion, there will be Jnana. And original Jnana, not book knowledge, original understanding of consciousness will come if there is bhakti. So same thing is said in the Bhagavatam. That is why you see this is the cream of the Vedas. Just like Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita we say, it's the sar of the Upanishads. This also is the sar of the Upanishads. Only put in the language of bhakti. So here he says, you see, inquiry and investigation into the eye sense is the way of Jnana Yoga. But the same can be got by absorption in the Lord. Not two different things. If there is raptness, absorption in the form of the Lord, you will touch the consciousness of God. If there is that nishtha towards japa, the name of the Lord, you will touch the consciousness of God, which is not different from Sachidananda, the pure eye sense. So those who do sadhana, they will not find any anomaly. Otherwise, there is a lot of difference in the clear like that. So in Bhagwatam, these are beautifully integrated, knowledge and devotion. Then he says, where the eye sense sinks, from that is the point from where devotion arises. See how beautiful. If you read the words of Ramana Maharshi, he says that where eye sense sinks, Spurad emerges. The pure sense of being. He says that is the starting point of devotions. That is true devotion. This is, in fact, the definition of bhakti according to Shankaracharya. Swaswarupa anusandhanam bhakti yuja. Knowing the pure I, not the silly personality sense, pure being, existence itself. That is the bhakti. That is the bhakti. So you see, this is there in the Bhagavatam. You see how beautiful. Then the Bhagavata abounds in lives of several sages like Rishabha, the Kumaras, Bharata, Prithu, Narada, Shuka, Sukha. Why these sages' lives? See, they were all jnana nishthas. They were after the knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, but their life shows the highest devotion. So this is what the Bhagavata is pointing to. Bhagavata. Then what brings about Tattvajnana? See, if you are doing sadhana, each point I am making here will become very relevant to you. If you are not doing sadhana, this is like some charcha on Bhagavata. If there is sadhana, each point is important, what the Bhagavata is telling us. How to get Tattvajnana? He says Tattvajnana is based on devotion. If it is possible to get rapt devotion towards the Lord, then one who gets it is called the Bhagavatottama, and he becomes the Tattvajnani. Then there is a description of Mudha Bhakti in the Bhagavata. Mudha Bhakti means stupid Bhakti. If there is Bhakti, emotion unaccompanied by a higher awareness, it is Mudha Bhakti. You see how clear it is? Which means there is no real culture of consciousness, no real awareness, some sentimental dominance in the mind. That is called Mudha Bhakti, stupid Bhakti. That will not get you anywhere, he says. Then, for this, as an example, he points out to a particular incident in the Bhagavatam. You see that this is the incident of the Raslila, where Lord Krishna actually draws all these gopis of Braja to himself in the dead of the night. And they have that, what is called Ras. Ras, the meaning of that is the Aswadana of Rasa is called Ras. Ras ka Aswadan ko Ras kehte hain. Now, this is not an ordinary event which happened. It's nowhere anything like what your Bollywood shows you. It is something very, very elevated and spectacularly transcendental. What is it like? So for that, Parikshit asks Shukdev, there is that particular passage you see in the Bhagavatam, where Parikshit asks Shukdev, see the Lord comes to establish karma, but in the life of Lord Krishna, we see this, that in the dead of the night, he drew so many girls to himself and then they had that ras. How do you explain this? Is this dharmic? Many of those girls were married wives of other men. Is this married, this kind of act? And at once Shukdev said, O king, do not try to understand the ways of the Lord through mundane eyes. Do not try to understand through the mundane lens. You know the perception of Krishna by the gopis was of what kind? Na khalu nandanod bhavan. You remember that in the Gopi Gita, the Gopikas are saying, you are not just the son of Yashoda and Nanda. Akhila Dehinam Antaratmadrik. You are the witness consciousness in all beings. The Gopikas are saying this to Krishna. This is how they perceived him, they saw him. And how did Krishna see the gopis? The gopis were so utterly pure, he saw them as mirror images of himself. And that is why the rasas, which means unity in difference. This is how they saw it. And so then Shukdev, see, Shukka Mahamuni is one who dwells in this God consciousness. He is telling Parikshit, don't try to understand it in terms of a man-woman relationship. It goes far beyond that. Each one perceives the other like that, as my own consciousness dancing in front of me. So it is a very transcendental thing, and that is why then the Bhagavad is elevated to a very high level, because it is the story of that highest love, which is the unity of the Jivatman and the Paramatman. It's the highest knowledge. The Bhagavatam encapsulates the highest knowledge. It is given in this story format, that's all. Ras is the depiction of the unity of the Jivatman and Paramatman. When the Jivatman sees the truth of himself in the Paramatman, and the Paramatman sees the Jivatman like a mirror of himself, then there is Ras. The sheer bliss of a unitary consciousness. That is Ras. So you see, this is so beautifully given in the Bhagavatam. Any way we describe it, it is insufficient because it is to be felt, not just to be expounded or known. It's to be felt. And it can only be felt in the intensity of sadhana. So Bhagavatam gives such very, very surreal definitions of bhakti. See, you are not the son of Devaki alone. You are the witness, the innermost consciousness in all beings. Na khalu gopika nandano bhava akhila dehinam antaratmadrik. The gopis say in the Gopi Gita. This is how they describe the Lord. So the way they looked at each other was completely different. Vast, the transcendental, completely transcendental union between the Jivatman and the Paramatman. Then Bhagavatam also points out to the nature of human emotion. It says that any emotion, if directed towards the Lord, will transform itself and get elevated. Any emotion which the raw human mind is capable of, if directed towards the Lord, it may be anger, it may be fear, it may be just compassion. Still, if it is for the Lord, it will get transformed. Because that is the power of love. And when the object of love is God, every emotion will get transformed. You see, these are all very important points in Bhav Sadhana. Any form of emotion, see, if you have to get angry on the Lord. If you have to constantly, be obsessed with something, be obsessed about the Lord. Think of His beauty, application of mind. The vritti is constantly towards the Lord. This will generate bhakti, it says. So we should not shy away from, mera man to itna kharab hai, how can I do puja now? No. All the more reason I should sit and do puja. No matter what bhav is there in the mind, applied towards the Lord, it will change. So, and this creates a deep connection between me and the Lord. See, at the end of our life, only this is going to matter. Please know. And even at the beginning of our life, this alone mattered, but we didn't give it attention. Isn't it? Once you are 60, 70, you should know this alone will matter. How much I invest in sadhana is what is going to ultimately matter. And everything else is going to tertiary importance. So these are all vital truths which the Bhagavatam is speaking of. Then another thing which the Bhagavatam teaches us is, you see, the importance of what is called a divine self-image. A divine self-image, which means the sadhak thinks of himself as a servant of the Lord, as a child of the Lord, some such self-image, so that you are able to relate closely with the Lord. Oh Lord, I belong to you. So the sense of the Jivatman here, he is not thinking of himself just as a soul. He is thinking of himself as I belong to the Lord in this particular relationship. This is important for the cultivation of bhakti. Once bhakti is well cultivated, you can drop the relationship. Just it's like the magnet and the iron filing. Iron filing does not require a self-image to get attached to the magnet. It's its nature to go and stick there. So also will our mind become, if it is trained in this Panchabhava sadhana. So Bhagavatam mentions this, and all the stories of the Bhagavatam are about this. Yashoda's attitude to Krishna, the Gopis' attitude, the Gopas' attitude, and Nanda's attitude. All bhavas are there. You see, you know the Pancha bhavas of Vaishnavism? heard? Panchabhava sadhana. Oh, you guys should go to Vrindavan or something. Please do. Stay there for some time. See, Dhamvas is a unique blessing. If you can go and stay there for some time, you get affected by the vibration there. Panchabhavas means the standard ways in which a jivatma, an embodied soul, can relate with Paramatma. So, yes, the first is Shantata, not any special relationship, just a feeling of pure devotion to the Lord. Second is Dasya Bhav, which means I am your servant, your Lord. Then there is Sakhya Bhav, I am your friend. This is also possible. See, all the gopis, gopas practice Sakhya Bhav. And then there is Vatsalya Bhav, Yashoda is feeling for Krishna. It's another way of putting it is, it's converse, you can say, it's Apatya Bhava, it is called, which means the Lord, Vatsalya actually means the Lord is my child. Apatya Bhava means I am the child of the Lord. He is my parent. So this bhava also is wonderful to cultivate. Both are Vatsalya only, they fall under Vats. Then after that is Madhur Bhava. Madhur Bhava is the feeling of a lover for the beloved. So very strong attraction and attachment. Now each bhav has elements of the other bhavs. Like for example, in Shanta bhav is included in this Dasya bhav. Shanta and Dasya are included in Sakhya bhav. Shanta Dasya Sakhya are included in Vatsalya bhav. And Shanta Dasya Sakhya Vatsalya are included in Madhur bhav. So some way of relating with the Lord. But remember, Shanta bhav is the foundation of all bhavs. Don't think bhakti is unstable emotion and unstable energy. Shant bhav is the basis of every bhakti bhav. Usually the bhakta is very quiet because he holds the bhav of the Lord. How can he be restless? So some way of cultivating devotion to the Lord. These are all ways. If you don't want to keep any such special bhav, fine. Just sitting and staring at the beloved because he is my soul embodied in front of me. That also is fine. That's similar to Shanta bhav. So each of these is a means. The bhav sadhana, you have to culture the means, not just know the means. Then Bhagwatam speaks of the glory of the avatar of Krishna. Why it speaks of this is so that we fall in love with the Lord. How he was, how he looked, how was his behavior, how were his actions, how was his speech. Just now you heard Madhurashtakam. Everything was so sweet and beautiful about him. Everything is so attractive. See, this attraction is of a completely different level. The nature of bhakti is, you see, ordinary love, human love, there is the element of what is called biological need. In bhakti, there is no biological need, there is no physiological need. It is a transcendent emotion. It is love for God because the way He is, for His own sake, not to fulfill some biological need in me. This is the nature of bhakti. That's why human love becomes very restricted, very small, because there will be selfishness there. I am searching for the fulfillment of my need, but never in bhakti. It is a transcendental need, love for God for its own sake. So bhakti arises from the tranquil heart, not from the passionate heart. That's why I told you, Shanta Bhav is the basis of bhakti sadhana. One who will hold Bhagavad Bhav must be very, very balanced with it. It is only a perfect psychology which will lead to bhakti. Please know this. So all kinds of emotional nonsense in the mind and then I'm practicing bhakti. This is not possible. A bhakta psychology is very clear, clean and dedicated. So this is also mentioned. Then you must understand this, why the language of Bhagavatam is the way it is. Why is it that they are telling us that only through devotion? Because the Bhagavatam says that is the language of the masses. Most people are sensitive only to emotion. Yes, Thakur also used to say, Juga Dharma, he used to say. Naradiya Bhakti is Juga Dharma. Naradiya Bhakti is Bhagwatam. It is, why it is Juga Dharma? Because we are so conditioned that emotion plays a prominent role in our lives. And emotional intelligence being poor, we have to practice Bhakti sadhana, otherwise we won't get anywhere. So the way is Bhagavad. This is mentioned even in the Bhagavatam. Then Bhakti is described as the fifth Purushartha. What are the four Purusharthas? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So you see, Moksha should be the highest goal of life, isn't it? But here the Bhagavatam says Bhakti is the fifth Purushartha. It goes beyond Moksha. In fact, the Bhakta doesn't even want Moksha. See, if I have entry into Golok, do you think I will care for Moksha? If you have a passport to Golok, just imagine. You are with the Lord all the time, in that divine result, and Leela, all the time, in proximity with the Lord. You see, Sayujas, Samikya, all that automatically you get. Do you think you will want mergence in the Lord? A merger in the Lord? I want to see you in front of me, like this. This is the natural attitude of the human mind. Please study your own psychology and see. Why do we require friends? Why do we require a companion in life? Why do you require children? Because you want life to dance in front of you. You want to see it objectively. So the same psychology is being turned towards the Lord here. I want to see you stand in front of me and do your Leela. I want to enjoy you like that. Although you are myself, please stand apart from me. See, the mother sees the child like that. Although you are me, I want to see you flip and play in front of me. Same attitude. For the Bhakta, he wants to see the Lord in front of him. So the point is this, there is a deep sense of unity, but I want duality. That is the Bhakta's stand. So it is a dual sadhana. That's why the self-image has to be formed, the heart has to be corrected. Otherwise, you can't proceed in Bhakti sadhana. Please remember this. Our Dainandin Jeevan, in our everyday life, if we are constantly angry or dissatisfied or blaming others or pointing towards somebody and feeling very whatever negative within ourselves, you cannot live a life in Bhakti. Unless our emotions are corrected, smooth, pure, and directed towards the Lord, you can't do bhav. So we have to take care of this. In Bhakti, this is important. So Bhagavatam describes Bhakti as the fifth Purushartha. It goes beyond Mukti. Yes. With Bhakti, automatically Mukti comes, but as Thakur used to say, usually the Bhakta doesn't want Mukti. He wants to play with the Lord. He wants to live with the Lord. He wants to enjoy the Lord. Then there is a very sharp contrast between Bhakti and Preeti or human emotion. This is characteristic of Bhagavatam. They will compare Gopikas also, like Chandravali and Radha. What is the difference? Why are there different levels of Bhakti? See, the nature of pure love for the Lord is there is no selfish element there. The nature of attachment is there is strong selfish element there. Now we should discriminate between these two. You see, in the garden when you see a beautiful flower, if you feel like plucking that flower and adorning yourself, then you don't actually love the flower. If I love the flower, I will water the plant and bring the flower into full bloom. And if I am only attached to the beauty of the flower, I will adorn myself with it. This is the difference between love and attachment. Love means making the flower blossom fully. If we can make life blossom around us, we are really in love with life, in love with God. And if we are only using others and see the life around us to adorn our ego, and many of us do that, then it is only stupid, silly attachment and total misunderstanding of bhakti. Many times between parents and children, this is there. We feel, oh, it's out of love of our child that we are deciding what the child will study, what he will do in the future, whom he will marry. Who are you to decide all that? But many parents do this. In all relationships, all these things exist. So shake it off. Pure love means the first thing is freedom. That individual will grow in their own right and in no other way. That flower, I only have to provide the right thing for it to blossom. I will not use it to adorn my ego. This is very important. Bhakti teaches us great lessons. That is why I told you, Bhakti itself brings jnana. If you love purely, you will know everything. So this is sharply distinguished in Bhagavatam. Different levels of love, preeti, sneha, mana, different types are there. If any of you are Vaishnavas here, you might have heard of all these words. There can be an element of pride. See, who's a Vaishnava? Tell me. Who's a Vaishnava? What is the definition? One who has the element of Vishnu is Vaishnava. One whose heart is in Vaishnava Dharma is Vaishnava. He is Vishnu's Dharma, which means one who is naturally born with devotion to the Lord. Vaishnava is not just one who puts a mark and goes to ISKCON. Vaishnava is one who holds the Lord in his heart. That is a Vaishnava. So the nature of this Vaishnava Dharma itself is love for the Lord. Constantly, you feel that is the goal of my life. So then love becomes very important. You see, that is when you distinguish it from all these lesser forms of love, like you see, simple attachments, passionate something. I told you, unless the mind is calm and extremely mature and balanced, there is no real bhakti. So all this, the Bhagavatam is pointing out and showing us all of this. Preeti, its nature, mamata, its nature, mana, its nature. Why this is not yet bhakti? Some element of personal pride, something I have to get out of it, and not yet bhakti. Sneha may be there, affection may be there, not yet bhakti. Bhakti means you are my all in all. Me amar shorosh. I am not there in it. That is. So this is so very nicely described. Then you see, it is put in the words of Sri Krishna himself in this Bhagavata passage. The holy men who have deep-rooted love for me and see me in everything win me over as a faithful wife does a dutiful husband, to which they are eligible by virtue of their service to me. How little would they care for the perishable attainment of this world? The characteristic of bhakti is very. Everything else appears small when bhakti bhav is generated. Nothing, nothing is equal to that. So automatically you move away from that. And he says it grows. You can grow in bhakti. And finally, even mukti is considered secondary in bhakti sadhana. Even the four forms of mukti, which you see in Vaishnava religion, what are the four forms? Samipya, Sayujya, Salokya, Sarupya. These are the four forms of mukti in Vaishnava religion, which means Sarupya means you start looking like the so much devotion to the Lord, you even start looking like the Lord. Sayuji, you are in touch with his consciousness. Salokya, you are in the same realm as him. Even all this appears small compared to the highest. They don't ask for mukti, bhaktas. So how do we identify where we stand? Is you must see what is your deepest longing. For this, Thakur bolte hain, go into solitude from time to time and do sadhana. Thakur used to say, bone, bone, kone. At least one day you go. 3 days is good. 1 week is very good. But at least one day you go. And without company, without family, dive deep within yourself. And see what you are yearning for. What is your life about? And the bhakta will at once identify this is what I want. This is what I want. So you see, for him, even these 4 forms of bhakti are not enough. He asks only for ahaituki bhakti, ahaituki amala bhakti for the Lord, which means utterly pure devotion without any other motive. If this is there for the Lord, he may be a beggar, but he will be a king. He will be the happiest person on the planet. Because the nature of love is like that. The more we culture our inner life, we understand these simple, truths about happiness. Have you read the book Science of Happiness? How many of you have read? Read the book Science of Happiness. Happiness depends entirely, it's a subjective feeling. Depends on the nature of your mind. If mind is imbued with all this, there is happiness without even asking for it. Otherwise, if we invest only in objects, our happiness will be very limited. So understanding the basic facts about happiness is important in bhakti sadhana because bhaktas are very happiness sensitive. They want bliss, na? So they want ananda. So we must understand the different levels of happiness available to us. That book is a starter. Please know Science of Happiness. Before you dive into a great work like this, like the Bhagwatam, you must first take the starter. Regulate your thoughts on happiness, understand it completely, and then you will understand what they are talking about. See, one very beautiful truth in the Bhagavatam is Preeti, love for the Lord, it grows through pushti. You can grow in bhakti every day. You know how bhakti arises in the human mind? It is important to notice. It is a complete science. Bhakti, as we go on practicing our spiritual disciplines, you are generating the same kind of vrittis. Please note, psychologically what is happening? You are generating the same bhakti vrittis every day. Now, when you repeat these patterns every day, they become your sanskars. Automatically the mind loves to dwell on this. Automatically, you want to dive into this again and again. And what happens is it gets solidified, these beliefs. Now they have become sanskars. Now they have also become your memories. So then you are flooded with these bhavs in your mind. Thus, Preeti leads to pushti of bhakti. Everyday practice, everyday same bhavs are arising. You are conditioning yourself. And one fine day you understand Bhagavad Bhav. Maybe in a state of meditation, maybe during a bhajan, maybe in a temple during aarti. Suddenly you understand this is the nature of the Lord. Oh Lord, I can only belong to you. This is bhakti. So the point of transformation in bhakti is when I realize Bhagavad Bhav. When I am able to make a dharana of Bhagavad Bhav. Are you getting me? I repeat it. The point of bhakti, transforming point is this. When I realize Bhagavad Bhav, when I realize the nature of God's love for me, when I realize the nature of God, Bhagavad Bhaver Dharana Jakun Hai Tattun Bhakti Jagi. If I never get a dharana of Bhagavad Bhav, we will be the simpletons that we are. Only making dharana of all kinds of negative stuff, all the time exposure. See, your morning it starts with the newspaper or the news channels today. It's a very messy morning, I'm telling you. If it starts with Bhagavad Bhav, Bhagavad Aradhana, it's a very valuable day. So please remember this. Bhakti dharana hua, Bhagavad Bhaver dharana hua. This is the whole point in bhakti. For that to happen, I must apply mind again and again to these things. Application of mind is tapasya. Wherever we are, however we are placed, apply your mind. Sadhana is entirely internal. Then he says, what is it that makes bhakti so juicy and so beautiful you feel? Why is it considered that bhakti is the real ruchi of the spiritual life, the taste of spiritual life? Because bhakti includes these shaktis. It has inherently three powers. What are these powers? First is what is called Swarupa Shakti. Second is what is called Nagini Shakti. And third is what is called Samvit. Swarupa Shakti. Bhakti inherently holds clarity about the nature of the Lord. and hence the nature of my own self. I don't just belong to the Lord, I am His essence shining apart from Him. The spark of divinity within me, which is actually Jnana, is felt by the Bhakta. So that is the Swarupa Shakti of. Then, Samved Shakti is clarity regarding the nature of love and the beloved and the lover. This clarity is there in the Bhakta. So you know the Lord, you know who you are and how you are connected to. Not just for relationship. My soul is nothing but a divine spark, the spark of happiness, this sense. And Lavini Shakti. That is the feeling of intense joy. When I know I don't just belong to you, but I am you in a sense. The sheer bliss that arises, that is the Lavini Shakti of Bhakti. So Bhakti inherently holds these three powers. It is a completely transforming kind of joy for the sadhaka. It completely overwhelms him. And this is what results in rasa, the rasa of Bhakti. Rasa means the real taste of Bhakti. The whole point in spiritual life is to develop this taste, the higher taste. Automatically, the lower taste will fall. So, due to these three powers of Bhakti, Bhakti generates rasa for the rasikas, which means raptness, ability to stay with Bhagavad. Then only we will understand how stupid we have been. See, until we have a higher spiritual experience, we don't understand our mudata, our stupidity. Daily dwelling on all kinds of things, splitting attention from one thing to the other, not concentrating on the Lord, talking of all sorts of words. This is called stupidity. Now, how good we are at this? That's why we are losing on Bhagavad Bhava. Bhakta's life is concentrated life because he knows where to invest energy and time. So, this the Bhagavatam speaks of. This Mudha Bhakti, you must get out of this. Mudhata, it says. By arousing these Shaktis, by arousing through Bhakti in the heart, it is possible to get out of this. Then the Bhagavatam also says, as a result of Bhakti, what arises? A totally new consciousness of closeness with the divine, consistent with the highest awareness. See how it is being described? And this is the highest bestowal of praise by the Lord on the Jiva. This is the result of Bhakti. And the Lord also declares in the Bhagavatam, I am subordinate to my devotee and am therefore in a sense without freedom. Being extremely fond of devotees of exalted mind, my heart is under their control. See, in Bhakti Sadhana, it's a two-way thing. When you love the Lord, automatically it is proof of His love for you. There's a mutual exchange. When our Pran Shakti rises to a certain level, then only Bhakti is possible. I told you, emotion raised to a certain pitch. Now, where is this Pran Shakti going? It is going into the Lord. And His Pran Shakti gets reflected in us. So, it's a mutual sharing of energy. So, Bhakti sadhana is always like this. It results in a unity of consciousness. Then there are stages in the development of Bhakti, which I will read out just so that we have a sense of how every day we can grow in Bhakti. It's not that one day flash, I'm going to dive into Bhakti now. No. Every day it is cultured and built step by step. So, one of the most elementary forms of Bhakti is what is called Sneha. Sneha means it is the stage where you feel enmity. You like that person. You like the Lord just for what he is. Sneha is a huge sanskar, please remember. If Sneha is there, Sneha for other things will diminish. If Sneha for the Lord is there, so the Sneha is important. It is what oils relationships. No, Sneha Padarth, that's why we say. It lubricates every relationship. It keeps the relationship going because I like something in you. So this feeling for the Lord is Sneha. Then Mana. Mana means there is a sense of subtle pride, which means I belong to the Lord. I cannot do this. That kind of a sense. This is also an element in bhakti. It's a healthy pride. The Thakur is, Kachami and Pakami. This way, Pakami is good. Pakami means I'm a child of the Lord. Who can touch me? None, none. No obstruction can be there in my life because I belong to the Lord. This is a good, healthy ego. So this is the meaning of mana. Then pranaya. Pranaya means unreserved confidence in him. A feeling of, see, I belong there, so nothing to worry. So that's why the nature of the bhakta's mind is very stable because of this feeling. He feels he belongs to the Lord. Pranay means this. Then raga. Raga means actual attachment to the Lord and everything connected with the Lord. Like Thakudare Gele, Amada Kana Ekam Haladagi, that smell of Chandan, that smell of those flowers, mala, everything charms us. If Bhakti develops, it will thrill us. You must have read Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life. Just the sound of the beating of drums and he would go into Bhakti. Thakur's life. Just Charnanand dekhe Thakur Samadhi mein chale gaye. Because he would get inebriated, It would remind him of the vow of the Divine Mother. The least suggestions of God consciousness, and he would die with his Samadhi. You must have read it in Thakur's life. Once a boy was standing in the pose of Krishna, that Vivekananda pose. And Thakur saw that and went into Samadhi and couldn't come out of that Samadhi. How sensitive that mind must be. So like this, everything connected with the Lord. And the person experiences the thrill of the Lord. So this is what is called raga. Attachment to every divine object. And then there is the experience of anuraga, which means when raga pratikshana vardhamanam, then it becomes anuraga. This attachment to the Lord goes on increasing to such an extent, it results in unceasing experience of thrill in everything connected with the Lord. That is anuraga. It's a very beautiful state. Imagine this. And then comes bhava. Bhava means unceasing flow of mental vrittis towards the object of love, resulting in total gush of your pranshakti, like a river in spate, moving towards the Lord. Complete absorption in the Lord. And this results in prema, according to Bhagwatam. Prema means now you can't live without love. Absorption in Krishna consciousness. Prema. And it results finally in Mahabhav. But Mahabhav is the stage reserved only for, it was the state of Radharani and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Thakur. Not reserved for Devakshar. But we can go till Prema, according to what the Bhagavatam says. So there is sadhana bhakti, there is prema bhakti. And this Mahabhav is transcendental. To what extent? To the extent we culture bhakti, everything changes in life. I'm really telling you, don't think of bhakti is all about me changing myself. Even the people around you will change magically. That is the power of our pran shakti. When it is dedicated to the Lord, everybody's prana falls in line. They will imbibe something of it. Okay, start absorbing. Automatically your friend circle changes. Automatically your community changes. Yes, and this is the way you will change society and the nation. The bhakta, the real jnani, the real rishi makes the highest contribution because he changes minds. So bhakti is like this. So these are all the different stages of bhakti which the Bhagavatam speaks of. We will stop here a little and we will continue in the afternoon because we have another 1.5 hours in the afternoon.